Hello and welcome to That's Life with me, Esther Rantzen. And on tonight's show, we'll be mainly annoying the YouTube censors. Because this week's show contains 20 things that look like a penis. All you've got to do is write in the comments below when you spot them. Good luck. Penis.
Hello everyone and welcome to Spectrum Days. We're changing up the format today. Normally we play a game and then talk about it or something like that. I can't even be bothered and I can't even remember or care.
We normally talk about it without playing it, then we pause, then we play it, then we talk about a game. Today we're not going to do that.
Sorry, we've only been doing it for a year. I've forgotten what we do. You said to me, we're going to change the format, Phil. We're going to change the format. It'll be fun and new and fresh and all our subscribers will be like, wow, yeah, it's really cool and jazzy. They've done a new thing.
Right.
So what is this new thing? Explain it to the two people.
Today we're just going to talk about some games. What games are we going to discuss today? Phil?
Well, there is a reason for this.
Yeah, that's true.
Vast change in our programming format. It's because we were talking about I don't know, what was it we were talking about? Was it Commando or something? Did we mention Commando?
Yeah, we did it in the recent episode. We did a top 30 countdown for Christmas 1985.
Oh, that's right. Happy New Year, everyone. It's not Christmas anymore.
Yeah. And number one and number two, it was Commando and Rambo.
Commando and Rambo.
Rambo, yeah. And that sparked a little bit of discussion. One, I thought Commando was based on the film Commando, which was totally wrong.
Because you're a...
Because I can't remember anything.
You are a fool, Christopher. It is get to the chopper, not get to the controller.
Two, we both, flippantly just said that Rambo was just a cheap man's copy of Commando. And
they are the same game is basically what we were saying.
We were saying, yeah. Oh, look, number one and number two is essentially the same game. And then you said something on the lines of, well, Ikari Warriors was better. Well, maybe, I don't know if you said that on the episode, but then we talked about Ikari Warriors.
And Secret Command.
Then you remembered Secret Command on the Master System. So what we said was that we would go and play them and have a sort of discussion about it.
Are the same.
A chat, if they are the same or not. So basically, were our memories completely wrong, somewhat wrong, or fundamentally totally incorrect? I don't think there's an option where we were right.
Right.
So,
what did you play first then?
Right. So I played, really first was Commando on the Spectrum, because that's the one I remembered playing. And I don't know if I remember playing Rambo. So I first of all played Commando on the ZX Spectrum.
Yeah.
Then I played Rambo. Now this is the revelation. We'll talk about that now in a minute. Then I played Rambo on the Spectrum, and then I played Ikari Warriors on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
I'd just like to point out to everybody listening that because of Chris's strange speech impediment, he's not talking about people from Ikari who worry other people. He's saying warriors.
Warriors.
What's
wrong? What's wrong with Warriors?
It sounds like you're saying Ikari Warriors. It's like this.
Ikari Warriors.
It's like people who go and harm horses, or worry sheep or something. It's Ikari Warriors.
Ikari Whisperers.
The Ikari Warriors.
Ikari Warriors. Look, I'm just staying true to my West Country roots. I mean, I could go fancy like you and start trying to pretend I'm Welsh. Just because you changed countries, and then
the Secret Command on the Master System. Loved it all. Great. Master cheese.
I can't speak in California. Ikari Warriors.
Oh, that was good.
Is that better?
Very BBC, darling. Yes.
Yes. then after playing them, I wish I'd gone and played Dogs of War on the Commodore Amiga, which I think was came out a few years later and was just the culmination, the best of all of these kind of games.
Same again, wasn't it?
Yeah, same again.
Yeah, I mean, you can start stretching it as to what is similar to. You could say Crackdown, which is another game that came out on the Spectrum and everything came out on the Megadrive, I think, as well, which is another sort of top-down one. And then you could stretch it even further. And what was that one on the Amiga that was really popular top-down? Is it Alien Breed or something like that?
Yes.
You know, how far do you sort of, stretch the sort of top-down man running around with a gun type game?
I
mean, the point we were making with the Commando and Rambo is that they are up the screen. They're basically a vertical shooter in a way.
Well, a minute, before we go on, Crackdown, I only remember on the Xbox and things, which is a third-person city kind of game, right? What are you talking about? Crackdown on the Spectrum?
Yeah. Do you remember that one?
Really?
For those who don't remember it, it was a top-down, but it's more maze-like, and you had to disarm the missiles, the bombs, the sort of timer bomb things that were on each stage. You had to get to them before they blew up, or you had to set them. I can't remember which it was. So those of you who are shouting at your phones now, I do apologise. We weren't expecting to be talking about Crackdown.
Yeah, that's more mazy. I'm looking at it. It's more mazy. You've got two players at the same time. It's got basically it's nothing like the games we're talking about. No, well, somewhat like Rambo.
Hello there, I'm Sylvester Stallone. I played Rambo in the film Rambambabo in First Blood Part 1. The second film was Rambambabo First Blood Part 2, which isn't confusing at all, much the same as the computer games, which no one would make any mistakes with whatsoever in confusing them. In fact, if you did, you're obviously an idiot. Only real, complete and utter stupid dullard idiots would make mistakes in mistaking any of the games in the way that they look, because they're all terribly individual and distinct. Rambambabo.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. It depends. The whole premise for the podcast is that we discovered those two games, and it was a bit weird that they were the top of the chart, and we were saying essentially the same game. But it depends how far you stretch that. And as I'm sure Chris is about to say, he realised that Rambo's not quite the same as Commando as our memories would suggest.
Yeah, yes, it's actually completely different.
Explain.
It's basically a very early iteration of Assassin's Creed, or it's kind of stealth. It's a stealth game.
It follows the plot of the film unbelievably.
Well, it's interesting because Rambo, you got different weapons. Do they spawn in exactly the same place every time?
Oh, I was wondering that because it begins, you only move equivalent of a few hundred yards on the screen, so to speak. Yeah. There was a rocket launcher, a blue rocket launcher.
And also a bow and arrow, not too far, up north.
Yeah.
Northwest.
I must admit, when I died, I thought, I'll go and get that again, and then I couldn't find it because, as you pointed out, pre-pressing record, this is an open world game where it's very easy, very get lost.
It is an early open world game, thanks to Rambo. Yeah, a lot of games. All these people our age who were about 10 playing this, and then they went on to design and build amazingly big, huge games. But this is open world in that you can go left, right, up and down. Whilst Commando, you're just stuck on
it's a corridor.
Corridor, yeah, exactly, going up screen, vertical up screen. Rambo, we probably took a bit of school graph paper and etched out a map to play Rambo, to say, okay, the bow and arrow's there, the missile launcher's there, the little gate to get into the enemy base is there. That's where the bloke you got to rescue. That's where the helicopter is. And in fact, you can find online maps that people have made. But it's amazing. I mean, I won't lie, I didn't complete it, but I've just watched a couple of I've watched a walkthrough, and you can once you know where everything is, you can finish this game in less than 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, I expect Commando is probably the same if you can be bothered to go through the misery of how difficult the damn thing is.
Yeah, I kind of like. I mean, Rambo, it's got infinite knives, which is a bit weird. I mean, I don't know how he carries that many, because like you just throw as many knives as you want. So I'm not so sure. I mean, the bow and arrow is a bit of an upgrade because it's faster. Missile launcher is useful, and then you could even get in the vehicle. In Commando, you can't get in the vehicles, right?
I don't remember that you can. I mean, that's the funny thing I was saying about Ikari Warriors, which did we determine that came a lot later on in the arcade?
So Ikari Warriors came out in 1986.
Right. So not much longer after.
No, so if we're talking timeline, let's sort of rewind a bit.
Yeah, go on.
I think from what I understand, is that Commando came out in April 1985 in the arcade. Didn't come out to Europe until July 85, and then the Spectrum versions were out. The Spectrum version was out then by before the end of the year. I mean, it was already number one in the charts in December, I think. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did a quick arcade conversion, and it is such an arcade conversion because even the level design is the same. It's right at the very beginning, there's a kind of cliff to the right, and the guy jumps off on you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same in the arcade, and also later on the Spectrum, they kind of look like kitchen sinks or something come at you, which are the tanks. But of course they don't have pixels.
Kitchen sink sprites.
They look like kitchen sinks. The tanks do look a little bit better in the arcade version, and then but yeah, the same when there's also like a bonus section where not a section, but there's a bonus part, I guess, where there's a prisoner of war being escorted by two enemies, and you can kill the enemies and save the POW. Well, that's in exactly the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the Commando Spectrum. So my hat goes off to them. I mean, it's a really good game. Fantastic feature that you can redefine the keys, which you should do immediately when you play Commando. I mean, definitely. What were they thinking? All the default keys. What were they?
Weird layout. Was it QEIP or something? QZ something? Oh, I don't know what they were thinking.
What? And then in Rambo, why did they? I think it was IP for left and right, like leaving the key in between. I was like,
in
why?
between, yeah.
It left keys in between all of them.
I don't ever remember that at all.
No,
that was totally blew my mind. That was. I mean, maybe people can let us know in the comments. Was that common in other games? I don't ever remember that. I'm sure QAO and P was the sort of usual standard layout for these.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. QAOP space,
and you might use M or something.
Well, because space on the Spectrum is a very small key. Well, anyway.
So you might use M or Z or X or something, but. Yeah, that really blew my mind when I saw that. I was like, "What?" So I changed it.
You know me; I normally dive straight into these games and then swear and shout.
There's no tutorial.
5 minutes. There's no tutorial. What are the keys? And like both of these games was like press K to redefine your own keys. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I want.
I've got to say though, to our fellow Spectrum loving friends, I actually don't advise playing the arcade game. Although, yes, I completely agree with Chris. It's an amazing conversion. The arcade does make you realise how slow the Spectrum is. My memory of loaded up Commando on the Spectrum was like, this is brilliant. This is just how I remember it. It's really great. It's too hard. It's far too hard for me. I cannot be bothered to play it for longer than the 10 minutes that I play playing it. But I was totally happy to have that nostalgia trip, and it didn't let me down. It was what I remembered. It's brilliant. But then when I played the arcade, I was like, oh, wow, this is so much faster. The gun's such a faster sort of weapon. It's more responsive. It was immediately, and that was playing it through emulation. I suspect if you had it in the arcade using a joystick, and pummeling away at the buttons, I bet it'd be even better. So it kind of put me off the ZX Spectrum version. It made me think, oh dear, it's not as good as I remember. So I really don't recommend people do what I've done. Just stick to the Spectrum version if that's what you remember, and just enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah, because it's a funny how memories work, isn't it? Because it's kind of like there's nothing mind blowing about the grenade throwing animation, right? Compared to today's games.
Yeah.
But if you played this back in 1985 when you were 11 or whatever, and now you play it and you throw a grenade, there's some sort of memory. There's somebody in my mind was like, oh, what a great animation. It's like
you're wearing 3D glasses. It's like it's coming out of the screen at you.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, totally.
It's probably because we'd never seen, we'd not seen much stuff like that, right? So that grenade throw, I just thought was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And when you watch it now, it's still like, oh yeah, that's cool. It's like,
I mean, it's, saying that the arcade is better is not saying that the Spectrum one isn't very good. It's just that it will make you feel less happy about playing the Spectrum version. I would rather just play the Spectrum version and remember how it was and be content with playing that. I didn't need to play the arcade version, but for the purposes of what we're doing here, we were trying to see if these games were similar to one another. The only one I didn't play on the arcade was, and people can correct me if we're terribly wrong as usual, I'm fairly sure the Ikari Warriors was a rotating sort of, wasn't a joystick, it was a sort of a rotary knob thing, which meant you could sort of fire in any direction. I think that was the sort of hook of that game, was that the arcade cabinet itself was a different control scheme than the normal just joystick and keys, I think.
I can tell you, thanks to Wikipedia. Yeah, Ikari Warriors uses SNK's Model LS30 joysticks, which contain a 12-way rotary switch box.
That was it. Yeah, so there was no point you going on MAME and trying to recreate playing Ikari Warriors. There just wasn't any point, because I knew that would be like, well, it's not going to be the same. So I just played the ZX Spectrum version of it, and good Lord, it's another hard, up the screen run and gun. I mean, and it is very similar to Commando. I suppose it's more similar to Commando, I suppose, than Rambo is, in the sense that it's more up the screen, direct up the screen. But you've got the vehicles, which was a big part of Ikari, was getting in the
right, which is what you were saying, right? I mean, but let's make it clear. After playing the games, I would now personally say that Commando and Rambo are not like at all. Just that my memory had failed me, and I thought they were both based on the films.
as a shooting mechanic, as a sprite based at the bottom of the screen, moving up the screen, shooting, and with a machine gun type weapon and a grenade type weapon.
Yeah,
they are very similar. They do play very similarly.
Yeah,
that's the style of shooter, because they are these are basically shooting.
Yeah,
these are a shoot 'em up. They don't have to be. They could be a spaceship. It doesn't have to be a person.
Yeah,
these are basically vertical shooters, basically.
Yeah, but Rambo's got that you need to go and find things, get here.
That's not the shooting mechanic. The way the characters move and shoot, they are the same in that sense. They are very, very similar.
And Rambo does have very little legs that run extremely fast, right? I mean, the legs move faster than the distance he's covering. I mean, he's got very short strides. I don't know if it was the trousers he was wearing or the shoes.
Physics or something. That's not.
Computer games. It's like Commandos. He kind of like sturdily advances, whilst Rambo is like on a fast treadmill, not going far.
It is, I know what you mean. But the elephant in the room for me, it was Secret Command, which you hadn't remembered, had you?
Well, I hadn't, but then I saw the cover, and as a sort of side mention, the Master System covers were pretty. I mean, it was interesting, right? I mean, it was different, like the whole white cover with the blue grid, and then just one kind of artistic version of one of an illustration of one of the characters in the game, and that was what they had for all the Master System games that I'm aware of.
The first sort of year or so was yeah,
which was kind of like, I bet for collectors that's pretty cool, because I bet you've got like I bet all the spines and like having those set out, and that was interesting. I mean, and then they soon got replaced by much more artistic kind of covers, which was selling the games better, I suppose.
Oh yeah, later on. They started mimicking the Megadrive sort of boxes, basically.
But then we saw that front cover, and I was like, oh, did we play this? I don't know. And then I played it, and I couldn't tell you.
Oh, really?
If I played it or not. It's like, but you definitely have, right?
I loved Secret. So yeah, I will say, when we had this conversation, those two games are the same, blah blah blah, and I suddenly thought, do you know, there's lots of other games. I started to say, this is what I was saying at the beginning, depends how far you stretch it, but Secret Command is really, I suppose, a combination of sort of Rambo, Ikari Warriors, and Commando all in one. It's sort of got that look of Rambo, and I think it may have got turned into Rambo, or it was going to be Rambo, or I can't remember, but the character looks just like Rambo. He's got the bandana-y sort of thing, with a sort of...
I can't find much information about Secret Command, to be honest. It looks like it was released in 1986, same time as Ikari Warriors.
Warriors?
Yeah, Warriors.
The Ikari Warriors.
Did you know that Ikari Warriors is... Ikari means fury in Japan.
Does it?
Japanese. Ikari, Fury Warriors.
Well, Secret Command was also Secret Commando originally.
Right.
And then got changed to Secret Command, I think probably for Europeans. But when you load up the game, I'm pretty sure the thing says Secret Commando. So they weren't exactly hiding. They weren't hiding that it was like Commando. I mean, they're literally calling it Secret Commando. So it's very much a copy of that the Commando arcade game.
But there isn't, like, if you go to the Wikipedia, there's a Wikipedia list of Sega Master System games, and this is one that there's quite a few of them that don't have extra links for more information, and Secret Command is one of them. So I couldn't tell you exactly what month of 1986 it came out.
Was it coming up under Secret Commando as opposed to Secret Command?
No, the list is there as Secret Command, but like, for example, Safari Hunt and Space Harrier, then if you click on those, you go off to their own webpage, right? Wikipedia entry. Secret Command doesn't have one. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to know that story if they did then reuse it to make a Rambo game, or but I mean, what Secret Command has got is that you can have two players, right? Like Ikari Warriors.
Yes, you can. Known in Japan as Ashura, Sega Master System top-down run and gun game developed by Sega.
Run and gun. There you go. Yeah,
Run and gun.
We haven't said
by
that.
R&D 2, and it was published by Sega. So it's very much a Sega game. The game was released in the United States as Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Well, there you go.
So
your memory is okay.
Yeah, so that I did think that was what I was vaguely aware of. So in Japan, it's called Ashura. In America, Rambo Blood First Part 2. And over here,
Rambo Blood.
Rambo Blood Part 2. And over here, Secret Command, even though the title says Secret Commando. So Secret Command was re-released as part of the Wii's Virtual Console service and has appeared in numerous compilations. I mean, I think it's a really, really good... I mean, for me, of these games that we're talking about, for me, it's my favourite. And I would say it perfected the sort of that style.
It's kind of it's hard to tell. Probably not having played the original arcade one, right now, because we don't know exactly if the speed was being emulated correctly. But it just, seems to get this kind of speed right on Secret Command.
Yeah.
It's not as frenetic as Commando, which is probably because of his origins being a 10p. You know, they're
Money
getting as
pit.
much money out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't released in the arcade, it meant they could get the difficulty settings, gameplay kind of tweaked a bit for home play. So that makes the difference. And I haven't played it, but in my memory, which we know is fantastic, Dogs of War on the Commodore Amiga was the best of this type of game.
Right.
There was, and I couldn't tell you why. I guess it's just my memory, the gameplay and the minigun. I can remember you could get a minigun upgrade, and that just really was fun. That worked really well.
Mm.
And a flamethrower as well. Can you get a flamethrower in Secret Command?
Ooh, can't remember now.
Pretty sure there's a flamethrower in Dogs of War on the Commodore Amiga.
These top-down shooters. There was a lot of them. Like I say, I mean, the premise of us talking about this is the similarity of those two in that top 30. But I mean, I touched on it earlier on. You could make it anything. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be a spaceship. It could be anything. Vertical shooter. I suppose the difference between this and say something like Xenon 2, was that a vertical shooter rather than horizontal?
I think so. Yeah.
Is the sort that I mean, again, you also said it earlier on, is that they are more slower, methodical. Unlike with the Rambo one, there is a plot. There are missions. It's not just going up the screen shooting. I suppose basing it on a land rather than space or up in the air, you haven't got to be fast moving forward. Or like Swiv was another, I think, up the screen type one, wasn't it? Or the other arcade ones that would have been coming out at the same time as Commando. Is it 1942? The sort of airplane vertical type shooters. Yeah, they're much more faster paced. You can't really stop. You can't, but with this, you can be more tactical with the Commando and the Ikari Warriors. You can stop. Whereas a vertical shooter, usually the screens, they're like an auto scroller. Is that what they're called now? Or whatever they're called on like mobile and things like that.
Yeah. Like a endless runner.
Yeah. There's sort of that vertical shooter sort of constantly moving like an endless runner, aren't they?
Yeah. I was having a quick look in Steam. Most of the kind of run and gun games are horizontal, left to right. Yeah. Maybe that's to do with, and it's funny because maybe that's just to do with people using monitors, right? Because a lot of the arcade games, the actual screens were set up more in a vertical.
Oh, totally. Well, hence Commando.
So, you said, 1942, Commando, whatever. Those are really vertical shaped screens. Totally. It's interesting. Did they design the screens because that's how they wanted the games, or did they design the game considering what screens they had?
Well, it's an odd choice, isn't it? Because, I mean, it's not like arcades came before televisions.
Yeah.
Televisions have never gone in that direction. That's never been how we've used. I can't think of any other, I'm sure there are, but I can't think of any other use for a monitor going in that direction.
Yeah.
It's only now with mobile phones and tablets that we hold things in portrait or not.
Right.
It's only now that we rotate between the two things. It's an odd choice that they did that, but I suppose it must have been because they wanted to have that, you at the bottom and give you lots of retail space in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, on Steam, there's a game called I Hate Running Backwards, but that was from 2019. That goes up screen, whilst most of the other ones, I'm on a quick look now, are horizontal ones. Yeah. You're going up the screen, but it's got a slight angle as on the camera, so you're kind of slightly It's got a bit of an angle on it from behind.
Yeah.
That looks quite fun.
You got like Temple Run. I think we sort of mentioned that in the podcast before.
Right.
It is a vertical, but only because you're holding the phone. It's almost like a third person game.
Oh, here you go. There's a game called Thunder Flash 2020, which looks very indie. But it also mentions there, very similar to the old classics, MERCS, Commando, Who Dares Wins, and Ikari Warriors. So MERCS and Who Dares Wins are two that we have not looked at.
No, MERCS, really, I know from the Megadrive. That was one of the sort of earlier Megadrive titles. Again, people who've not listened or watched us before, I used to sell these things back in the day, and MERCS was a game that was quite common and people liked it. I got a funny feeling, was that an arcade game, MERCS, and it got converted over to the Megadrive? I got a feeling it came out on a Master System as well, probably even on the 8-bits. It probably is a Spectrum version as well. I don't remember it by then, obviously I wasn't playing the Spectrum, but I got a feeling it was 2-player in the arcade but only 1 player on the Megadrive. And that was a bit of a letdown that it was only 1 player.
A run and gun game developed and published in arcades by Capcom in 1990. It is a sequel to the 1985 arcade video game Commando.
No. Oh my God. No way. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise that. No. It took them 5 years to do a sequel to that really successful game Commando. That blows my mind.
While not as successful as its predecessor, MERCS was well received by critics and was a moderate commercial success. It was followed by Wolf of the Battlefield Commando 3 in 2008, a downloadable game.
Ooh, we'll have to play that. I've never even heard of it. Well, I never knew MERCS. Why did they decide to call it MERCS?
Why didn't they call it Commando 2?
What is wrong with these people? But then, I don't know. But I got a funny feeling that I seem to remember the version on the Mega Drive being very good, very arcade accurate, but was only 1 player. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. Please do shout at your phone now.
Gunsmoke.
That rings a bell.
Vertically, so the original arcade version of MERCS, along with Commando and Gunsmoke, are included in the 4th volume of Capcom Generations. And Gunsmoke is a Wild West. I think this might also be a run and gun Gunsmoke,
I want to go and play MERCS now. I'm sure MERCS had bosses. I got a funny feeling that had end of level bosses, like you had to destroy an airplane. That was. I got a funny feeling that. Well, I'm getting flashes of that game now. That's a game
I didn't play it, but and now I've got flashes of playing Gunsmoke in the arcade.
Oh, really? I don't remember in the arcade.
Because in Commando, do you get an upgrade where you can shoot the bullets at different angles?
In Commando, I don't remember upgrades in Commando. No. I might be wrong. Obviously, I think in others, I say like Secret Command and things, it was sort of power ups. But I don't remember on.
I can Gunsmoke. I'm pretty sure I played Gunsmoke in the arcade. It looks, and it's still, and I'm looking at a quick video, and it looks great. All these games look great until I play them, don't they? Gunsmoke, another run and gun vertical game. There you go. There's quite a few then. Ooh.
There is more than I realize. That still blows my mind.
MERCS is the is a part 2, a sequel.
Mega Drive. MERCS is a top-down run and gun game. Player MERCS can move in 8 directions. The screen does not auto-scroll, but follows the MERCS as he moves, whereas the screen does not scroll back. Blah 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 blah.
Which is like Commando, right? If you don't keep moving, it doesn't move.
Yeah, this is why I was sort of trying to compare these to sort of say the up the screen space shooters, which would have obviously constantly been sort of moving.
Yeah, well, I like the look of Gunsmoke now. I've decided, after all those games, Gunsmoke's the one I like.
Well, you go and play that. I'll play MERCS. Oh, the Mega Drive version of MERCS was banned from sale in Germany.
Ooh. Oh, that must have been a blood issue, was it?
Well, no, just simply because it was army
Too much
men
violence?
shooting. Yeah, well, it was all off the back of the their sojourn into Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. Well, yes, that's right. They did have a ban on any game with blood, although lots of people are just making the blood green. I mean, even back in the early 2000s, making games for Java for Nokia phones, and once we had color screens, any of the games that we made then had to we'd make a SKU, a version for German, and that would be in the German language, and we would program it so that blood would be green. We'd be like, why are we even putting blood in? Because we want to put blood in. Okay, then it's got to be made green.
yeah,
I think for the US, and a few different rules.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so will you keep playing these? Any of them get a thumbs up playing them nowadays?
Well, I still think Commando on the Specky holds up, and again, I reiterate, don't spoil it by playing the arcade sort of immediately at the same time as playing the Specky version. It just takes away from it a bit.
Yeah,
but I do advise playing. The one I'd give the real thumbs up to would be Secret Command on the Master System, and the fact that it is 2-player. If you can get somebody who long play it with you, because it is tough. I don't think we've said it enough. All of these are really hard. I found all of them really quite hard.
Kind of, maybe it was because I found it a tad bit easier, Rambo. That I probably enjoyed Rambo most on the Spectrum.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Maybe it was because it was just that little bit easier. But I think all of them are that kind of like ones where you've got to be fast on getting your diagonals and the shooting. Right?
I'd either like a control pad or a joystick to play these.
Yeah,
possibly why I preferred the Master System one, because I was using a control pad and not fumbling around with Q, I, A, O, U, P, X, Y, Z.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Because on the Spectrum, you're running forward, and then there'll be one coming in at an angle, and you've got to quickly tap your two keys and the shoot.
Yeah. I think a controller would help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there, nothing for me to really hate on these ones.
No,
but
no, these are all still really good games. I think for people who are happy with that challenge, these are really good games to play. But I think for us mere mortals who can't face them,
I mean, I could see why they were. I could see why they got to the top 10. You know, they were number one. I think they both were number one at some stage. I think it's understandable why they were.
Yeah, I would have definitely asked for Commando for Christmas. That's a game I would have asked for, I'm sure.
But I mean, we haven't got into this. So, I mean, inflation wise, I mean, how much did it cost? £10, do you think?
Commando
on the Spectrum?
Oh, crikey, I don't know. Was it? I have no idea. Were they both full price? I don't know. I guess they were. I guess Commando was. I mean, by the time I got my 128, you see, Commando wasn't. That would have been re-released as a 199, 299, or been some on compilation. Or when I played it first, it was around my neighbours when it was new. Whether it was a full price game, I really don't know, because I didn't buy it. I didn't have it when it came out. I can't remember. So
let's say it was 10.
Probably, yeah.
We should search, but that's like £29.60, taking into consideration inflation, for games which are about you could complete them. I mean, of course, it takes you a long time to be able to complete them because you've got to keep trying and trying and trying. But
Yeah.
once you can run through the whole game in about 28 minutes.
You can probably get through it quicker than it takes to load it. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So, I mean,
would it be nice? I don't know. Back in '85, I don't know. A full price game might have been $7.99. Actually, I do wonder whether games were a tenner then. I'm not 100% sure. 80 was 85. We said. I don't know. I think you might find it was $7.99 or something like that if it was a
right
full price game. I'd like to think. £10 in 1985 sounds like an awful lot for a Spectrum game. I mean, maybe it was. I'm sure. You found it?
No, only the actual cost of the Spectrum itself. Don't you have one of your Spectrum games? Doesn't it still have the price tag on it? Didn't you have the receipt inside one of them?
I did have some, yeah, but I think I've sold those, long gone.
We'll have to check that again. If anyone knows, let us know. How much did games actually really cost? Because everyone complains about games nowadays. Oh, there's only 6 hours of gameplay, well, back in the day, it looks like games had about 30 minutes if you could play through them. By the way, we haven't mentioned, but the music, I kind of like the music in Rambo and Commando on the Spectrum. But then I listened to the Ron Hubbard C64 version, and as usual, if Mr. Hubbard's done it, then it's the best. He was so good. All the music he did was just brilliant.
Yeah. Every time.
Just a little mention of the beautiful music. Right, that's it then. Wrap it up.
Yeah. That's it, folks. Well, there we are. Do you lot agree out there in YouTube land? Are these games similar, or are they absolutely nothing alike? Or are you like us and your memories thought that perhaps they were, but actually when you played them, they're not really all that similar, apart from they're the same type of game. Maybe they're screen shooters. I will put the links to them below if you want to go and give them a go, try them out. As I say, my top tip would be Secret Command on the Master System, particularly if you've got a friend. If you have, let us know what that's like. We've forgotten. Is it nice? Perhaps it's a girl. Let us know what that's like. Maybe don't put that in the comments. Send us a secret message with those sorts of details.
Bye.
Like, subscribe.
Do all those things.
Tell us about your friends.